Welcome back. As we know, River State is currently in a state of political crisis, and the sitting governor, Similai Fubara, was impeached a couple of months ago, and the administrator Ibas was appointed in his place. And so we're going to be looking at the River State political gladiators and the unfolding events, since from that time up until now, with Professor Benjamin Ogele Okaba. He is the president, Ijaw National Union, joining us via Zoom this morning. Good morning, Benjamin.
Nice to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm hearing you very clear, loud and clear. Good morning too. Happy Independence anniversary. Let me just make
Happy democracy. Happy democracy.
Yes. Happy Democracy Day. Yes. Thank you very much. Let me make two straight corrections. Similai was not impeached. He was only suspended. Number two, it's Ijaw National Congress and not Ijaw National Union. Did you get me? Similai was not impeached. He was only suspended, and I'm sure that was a slip of tongue. And the INC is actually Ijaw National Congress and not Union. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Apologies for the mix-up. Now let's start from the beginning of the entire saga with Fubara and what led to his suspension. So can you just take us back a bit and give us a bit of review as to what led to that suspension in the first place?
Okay, well, it's going to be a tortuous journey, but let me just highlight the significant milestones. The first was that after about 24 years, the Riverine component were able to produce, support of his predecessor, talking about the present FCT minister. And not up to 3-4 months, we started noticing some fracas statements from both sides, and the body language also showing that there was no harmony, so to speak. And 6 months from the day he was sworn in as governor, I'm talking about Fubara, there was now this attempted impeachment. And from there, several court cases, several interventions, and precisely some 3 months ago, the president said in his wisdom, instead of allowing the situation to degenerate into full-blown crisis, the entire democratic structure of the state has to be suspended, pulled down temporarily, and that if for 6 months, and that if within 6 months, was this caveat, within 6 months there were improvements, it will be restored. Fubara and the entire cabinet, I'm talking about the Fubara, the deputy governor, and the members of the House of Assembly, and any other democratic structure that was also affected by the decision of the president to suspend democracy or democratic rule in River State will be brought back. So I think for now, I think these are the major highlights. There were so many other things that happened actually. Appointment of a sole administrator, and who was actually in that position perpetrated more illegalities in the same manner that it came in. So but we don't need to go into all of that because for me, this is a new phase. So that is a summary I would like to give. Thank you.
Okay, but do you think that the face-off between Wike and Fubara is from, you know, a place of loyalty, or is an issue of loyalty rather than, you know, the political, you know, the democratic or the political system of the state? Is it an issue of loyalty, or is it, you know, just politics at play?
Well, it is like I have said consistently, it is a matter of state capture. It is not a normal political practice. When I say normal, it shouldn't be a tradition because politics should be about about development. Politics shouldn't be tied to personal aggrandizement, personal interests. You occupy a position for 8 years, and you mentor somebody to take over from you. I think there should be some level of independence given to the new governor. Even if you have given him a program, he is also a human being. He must have his own preferences. Yes, at least there should be some level of payback. I mean, if somebody has helped you to become somebody, to become a governor, somebody has supported you so clearly to become a governor. Of course, you have to also maintain that relationship or that loyalty by conceding to certain demands. But that should not in any way override the very essence of development. That should not be the reason why the entire state structure and funds should now be in the pocket of somebody who is not ordinarily the governor of the state. Since the Fourth Republic, or maybe before the Fourth Republic, yes, we saw that whoever becomes president of the nation from any political party becomes the leader of that party. Ex-presidents don't become leaders of parties. In the same manner, governors that have ruled and have left office don't sustain structures. Structures are inherited, and they are vacated the moment you are no longer in that position, are inherited by the next person. So yes, some level of interference, no doubt about it, at least to guide the successor, to make sure that it does not deviate from the very principles upon which it was brought in. But there shouldn't be that overbearing interference to the extent that over 90% of commissioners have to be appointed by the person, the predecessor, where finances to a large extent has to be put there. Where we don't want to go back to all those dark, very pitiable stories and all that. But well, to answer your question directly, this is a question of somebody demanding extreme loyalty. In fact, it's not just loyalty; it's just total submission of the entirety of the state. It's like breathing very heavy on him. It's like an extension of the leadership of the predecessor. Yes, this man was Fobra and think to have peace should just be a standing where the proper leadership or governance of the state will be in the hands of some other person who have actually left the state. So the entire crisis is about the tendency for state capture. Just go there, sit tight as governor. Meanwhile, I have control of everything, including your domestic affairs. Those are the kind of things Nigerians saw. And at some point, we got to where we got, where we got to, because there were now tacit support. Tacit support. It was no longer the present and former governor. There was actually now support for the extension of the same state capture by external forces outside Rivers State. So these are the complications, and we saw that almost all the arms of government in the country seem to be tilted towards one particular individual against the other. All the court cases, the parliamentary processes were seen to be imbalanced, kind of, so to speak. So I think that is where we are. It's not about whether Fobra has not governed well, whether he has committed any constitutional crime, or whether he has not maybe misappropriated funds. You can see that all attempts made to even bring his former one of his former aides, not his aides really, a state head of civil service. It was you saw the drama of how it was pushed to make allegations against the state, and all of that have failed. So many other attempts and all that, but they have failed. So many allegations, but nobody has been able to say Fobra stole 1 naira, or Fobra did not do this correctly, Fobra this and that and all that. They're all fabrications, unfounded rumors, unfounded allegations that Nigerians for now have come to understand the real issues, which is again demonstrated in the, I don't know what I would call it, the speech of the president. It's all about capture of Rivers State. The recent pronouncement in the National Assembly by the president, where we're talking about setting up institutions to conduct elections to be supervised, democratic elections to be supervised by a non-democrat. These are very, very I don't know, very, very contradictory to the very principles of democracy. And when you weigh these the action vis-a-vis the statements made by the president, you see that there were mere rhetorics. Democracy should be about action and not about words. Yes, not about words. So I don't know if you have other questions, but for me, I think it is very unfortunate that in the first place there was no need for the imposition of a state of emergency in Rivers State, because if we have to characterize the state
Professor
of the nation.
Benjamin, how do you feel, you and the Ijaw people as a whole, the Ijaw nation as a whole, how do you feel about the present situation of things in the state currently?
I don't know how to describe how I feel, but I think I would say we are very disappointed. We are very, very disappointed. In fact, I have the courage to say so because I waited to hear from other critical stakeholders. Yes, after the drama, the National Assembly, Serake Dixon, the senator representing Bayelsa West, expressed his disgust and his disappointment with the processes that were very, very undemocratic, to the situation where, to the point where people were not given the opportunity to express themselves. In a democracy, yes, the majority will always have their way. There's no doubt about that. But you give opportunities for the minorities to express themselves. That did not happen. I also just read the address of Pandef. Pandef gave an address, and the summary of all of that is that we are so disappointed in the announcement or pronouncement of the president and the actions taken so far to deepen dictatorship, to spread, to strengthen authoritarian rule in a state in Nigeria. Nigeria is celebrating democracy, but what we have on ground, particularly using the case of River State, is very, very undemocratic, and that point needed to be mentioned. Thank you.
Now, the president, against the expectations of Nigerians, did not say anything about the emergency rule in River State. Now, do you think that it is a good thing for the state that the president did not make any mention of the emergency rule during his speech?
It is not correct to say the president did not mention anything. The president did mention when he talked about putting in place a structure to conduct local government election. That is to say, you are extending the process. So he did mention something, but just that what he mentioned disappointed many Nigerians. In fact, how do I put it? Yes, Nigerians felt or thought that this was an opportunity, very, very good opportunity, on a democracy day when we are celebrating freedom, when we are also looking at the sacrifices made by our people, and those sacrifices, particularly with the posthumous state pardon granted to the second Sarua and Ogoni 9, and many some other statements they made. People thought that this was the best time to say, okay, this particular exercise that has been a dent on my democratic profile has to be erased today. Somebody can make a mistake, but I'll correct it. I would feel this was the perfect time to correct it. But rather, he went to the National Assembly and was giving those policy statements and actions that definitely not in tune with the earlier rhetorics that were presented, so people felt that it was not actually necessary, because when you have a military administrator, a sole administrator in a state, whatever is done by that sole administrator is rather dictatorship. It's not democratic, and that correction should have been made. So we are very, very unhappy. We don't know whether the president was waiting or is waiting for a better time to do that. But like we said, the imposition in the first place was not called for, or uncalled for in the first place. So sustaining it over time, for 1 week, second week, and all that, is to actually infringe on the sensitivity of the people. There's no the sole administrator has not added any value to governance in River State. Rather, things are going worse. In fact, in a survey that was conducted recently, over 80% of the people in River State they are condemning whatever you call it, sole administration or whatever. People are dissatisfied, and you can also see that from the protests and counter protests that were on, counter protests and all those fake protests, all those fake protests could not be sustained. But you can see that the genuine ones, in spite of the harsh weather and what have you, decided to volunteer themselves, and they are being sustained. So it is about the people of River State, and they have spoken in all express themselves that they don't want the sole administrator. It's undemocratic. We want this is about taking River State and Nigeria to the dark ages, and you can see that from all across Nigeria, people have expressed their dissatisfaction. And I see this as having some consequences. Some consequences. Yes, some consequences on things that will happen in the future. I don't want to mention them, but definitely in some years to come, people will use the River State episode as a talking point in rating the democratic profile and capacity of some persons. And that is why I thought the president should have been very, very careful about managing the affairs of River State. Thank you.
All right, and it seems as if Fubara himself is now satisfied with the state of things. Like he has come to terms with, the outcome of the suspension, and he's, just satisfied with it. So, what is your opinion on that? Do you think that is actually how it is, or do you have any other opinion about that?
When you say Fubara seems satisfied, I don't have any evidence to show that he's truly satisfied. In the few occasions we've spoken, he did not tell me he's satisfied. Just that he decided to apply wisdom and caution, and being a very peaceful person, and someone that is not desperate. It's not like the average present Nigerian politician that can kill, that can destroy, that can malign, do everything in this world as if life is about politics. I think he has that Jonathan disposition, that my ambition does not worth the life of any Nigerian. So those statements were to actually calm down people. Sometimes the body language of a leader could provoke some terrible actions. So he has told his supporters, please, take it easy. Let's put everything in the hands of God. God, who is supreme. If God wants me to go back, he will take me back. If God says I should not go back, I will not kill myself. So that comes from a decent person. A decent person. Unlike those who even say that if Fubara comes to APC, we are not going to forgive him. A party shifter made that statement. When it comes to APC, we are not going to. When I read that, I can see this is the opposite of Fubara. And to a large extent, I even pity the person that made that statement, because he has succeeded in placing curses on himself. Because even God said, for you to be forgiven, you have to forgive somebody. When you come out to the public to say, I will not forgive somebody, you are also saying that God, don't forgive me of my trespasses. So when you talk about gladiators here and there and all that, we need to infuse some of this to tell you that Fubara made those statements or came out with those actions, or the disposition and pronouncement to say it's not desperate, and that his people, his followers, should not be desperate about the things ongoing here.
All right, and let's look at the defections that we've had so far, particularly of lawmakers from PDP to APC. I mean, on the headlines the other day, Okocha, referring to Fubara, was saying that APC is not a dumping ground. Now, how can you speak on that? How are these defections affecting, the state, the legal composition of the state, the authority of the River State House of Assembly, and all of that?
You remember that First and foremost, you remember that the 27 lawmakers who allegedly defected said they did not defect. They are still in PDP. I don't know whether that has changed. I don't know whether that has changed. But all the same, speaking on defection in the current Nigeria situation, I think we should understand the character of our democracy now. I've said it earlier and I want to repeat it. That it shows clearly that rather than the improvement in our democratic practice, consolidation and improvement in our democratic practice, we are degenerating to the extent that we don't have political parties. Political parties are clearly defined with their ideologies, with their symbols, with their aspirations, clear templates for governance. But today, what we have in the name of PDP, APC, Labour Party, name them, are mere platforms. I will not even call them groups or maybe association. No, they are not. They are just platforms of some persons who identify providing opportunity for them to move from one stage to the other. It's not about ideology. It's not about conviction or for governance. It is all about where would be most suitable for me to advance my political ambition. If you want to contest as councillor, and maybe you conduct primaries, or you see that from the very, you see that you are not going to succeed in one particular platform, you now move to the other platform. In some cases, people even put their legs in 3, 4 platforms and wait, whichever that is better, I move and take over that person. So where you have not just House of Assembly members, at the national level, formal vice presidential candidates, governors, sitting governors, and the entire state structure, like what happened in Delta, later in Akwa Ibom, are explanations to the fact that they are all looking for safe levels. And again, you should also recall that one of the political gladiators had said, as a formal APC party chairman, I said that, look, move on to the APC and all your sins shall be forgiven. All the properties you stole, everything you have done, all your iniquities are forgiven and you are saved. And that happened. And we actually saw that people that were charged to court, charged for one thing or the other, upon their defection to the APC, right? In one dramatic way or the other, the charges were dropped. Those whose properties were seized were given back to them. We have names. But the public decorum will not allow me to mention names, but we have names of people. So that is the situation. What stops? So if a governor feels threatened that maybe he's not going to have a second term, or maybe he has some backlog of iniquities, and he moves up to the other. So why not move? So that is really the kind of situation. So here we talk about how does it affect. For me, since it has become a practice, it is a matter of adapting to the situation. Because even in a normal democracy, you should have a separation of powers. Do we have separation of powers? No. See the drama at the National Assembly on Democracy Day. To the extent that lawmakers, who felt that there were some infractions in the process, they are not even allowed to make any statement. Rather, we saw highly placed Nigerians, by the position they occupy, eulogizing an illegality. At the end of the day, they go dance about it because, one, they've satisfied their personal aggrandizement. That is how bad we have degenerated to in this country. It's about person. Politics is about it's now self-seeking. Politics is not about the good of the state. It's about self-seeking. People place their personal ambition on the table and drive them and look for people with the same pattern of life to push them. People support things because it satisfies them. There's no objectivity. There's no objectivity. There's no rationality. One of the programs I said we now practice a malutocracy. Malu, when you flog the malu, when the head of the head flog one particular malu, they walk down. Most of the persons who even defected don't even know why they defected. Oh, what they say? Oh, where my oga follow, I follow. 60-year-old person, 50-year-old, somebody elected, somebody the name of a senator, somebody House of Reps member. You ask him, why are you moving from PDP or APC to PDP? And he tells you, no, I don't have any reason. It's because the governor has said so. What type of is that not childishness? That you take actions without you cannot justify your action. So are you now surprised that in this type of states, political state we have ourselves, there could be genuine development in this country, there could be genuine unity, there could be genuine harmonization. That is why we lack all indices of development because of the attitude of our leaders. Because of this attitude of our leaders on seriousness. We have all the resources. We use this to visit places, visit Dubai, see beautiful things there, but we cannot translate them. We cannot transmit them. We have the resources. God has blessed us with all the kinds of resources that can translate into development in this world, but we cannot. Why? Where? Because we have lost everything. The only thing you see, we have rich people and a poor nation. Rich people and a very poor nation. You can see the paradox. It's very sad for Nigeria. And until people should wake up, it's not about River State. It's not about River State. River State is just a test case. If it happens to River State, it will be extended to Lagos, it will be extended to Kano. In as much as that state, that particular region attracts the attention of these persons who think that capturing that state will advance their political structure, their political fortune. They will do everything. If the governor of Lagos State is not playing games, they create crisis and they put a state of emergency. If that of is not compromising, they do the same thing. At the end of the day, we have state of emergency in everywhere. Like I said earlier, that is so stable or that is not qualified for state of emergency. There are killings all over the place. How many emergencies have been created in those places? There are killings. Military officers are killed on a daily basis. There's criminality everywhere. There's disorder in most parts of this country. Nigeria itself, in its current state, is it stable? Is it stable? So these are questions that people are asking within and outside Nigeria. And they are now threats. The attitude of the leadership is a threat to our democracy. The more powerful they become, the more powerful they want to become. There's no end to it. But for us, there's always the God factor. God factor. There's always the God factor. And God has in the past, demonstrated his love to this nation. Where human beings, where the efforts of human beings fail, God intervene. I want to appeal to these persons that no matter the kind of power they are wielding, they should remember God. They should remember God. It has happened before. Let us not push the hands of God to intervene as the people of this country are crying. They are crying. People are suffocating. People are dying. There is the hunger level is there, and somebody is dancing and saying that things are getting better in this country, where people cannot afford a cup of rice, where it is difficult to get electricity, where it is difficult to give your child quality education. Things are not getting better. The indices are very clear. Look at the exchange rate. Are they better? Look at the cost of things. Are they better? We challenge those persons who say things are getting better to come out with indices and tell us whether Nigeria is moving forward or moving backwards.
Yes, and
It is
I'm
as bad
speaking
as that.
on
I said it's not
rich
about
people and a poor nation. Now, looking at the events that have unfolded so far in the states, how has this affected, you know, basic governance in the states? Things like education, infrastructure, salaries, security. You know, how is it affecting the people of the states?
you have mentioned it all. Insecurity yesterday and today, 10 years before now and now. We sleep with one eye. In fact, to the extent that individuals have taken over the responsibility of the state. You now sink your borehole to get water. You now provide your independent security. We have so many firms, to the extent that, in fact, I'm sure you are not wondering why government is now employing civilians to replace trained military men on major security issues. Civilians are now fighting terrorism. Civilians that did not go for any military training are now the ones successfully combating terrorists. JTF's Joint Task Force, I'm talking about civilian Joint Task Force, combined, and they are more successful. The critical infrastructure in this nation are now contracted to civilians because they do better. They get better results are gotten from these civilians. So you ask yourself, where are we? Where were we? And where are we going to? So if individuals have not decided to take their destiny in their own hands, just see where we are. Private schools do better. Private schools do better. Private hospitals do better. You had a recent complaint that was posted on social media about how a patient that was dying was taken to a particular hospital, and because of the usual civil service regulation, how rotten the system has got into, attention was not given to the person. That tells you the state of our nation, of institutions in our country. Anywhere you go to, so people now prioritize private entities. So when you talk about how does it affect, it is so bad, but again, Nigerians are not giving up, because I and many Nigerians believe that God will not abandon us to be
Exactly.
so dealt with by fellow men.
Yesterday we celebrated the
opportune.
Democracy Day. Now, looking at the state of the country, not just River State now, but looking at the state of the country, what
Yes.
do you have to say about the democracy that we have now. What do you have to say about what our, our democratic system is looking like?
Well, I want to say that our democracy, 26 years of civilian rule, yes, but for what is happening in Rivers State, there's a tortuous journey, not uninterrupted. We can say, okay, well, let's congratulate ourselves because the military actually had not come in to destroy all the structures, except what we have in Rivers State, which remains condemnable. Beyond having this track record of steady civilian rule, when you come to democratic practice, as defined as a government of the people. When you say government of the people have a say as to who becomes their leader. Government for the people. That is, the government serves the interest of the majority. And government by the people. That the people have a say in all of that. If you put all of these indicators and begin to place them against the realities of the situation in this country, you will discover that we are not progressing. Democracy was said to be nascent. It's no longer nascent. 26 years, child is no longer a baby. It's an adult. So we can do an objective evaluation of all of this. The first question asked is that, in Nigeria, do our votes really count? Do our votes really count in Nigeria? Can you say this is a popular candidate and the candidate wins? You know that it is no. In most cases, election results are tampered with. In some cases, you have fake results sheets given advance, and these are the real results kept somewhere. And that is why you have multiplicity of cases, post-election cases, as never before. Was there any election in this country in the past 36 years you're talking about that was not contested in court? There were always issues to be questioned as the validity of our election results, the credibility of the results and the process. Now talk about to what extent are those now elected serving the interest of the people? In most cases, priority is given to self. Even when projects are established here and there, you can discover self more into it. The leaders will always ensure that whatever public institutions that are put in place are there to favor them. Look at the South-South Commission. Look at the appointments in the South-South Commission. All the major appointments, you will trace them to one political gladiator. One. We are talking in practical terms. You just mention them, this one. Who is the MD? You trace the MD to somebody. Who is this? You trace it to somebody. Is it by merit? No longer merit. So that is self-seeking. Self-seeking. A road gets to your place only when you are important. If you are in opposition, no matter how bad the road is, that is not the reason. So it is about serving people, advancing the opportunity of the opportunist. So if you put all of this together, we must be bold enough to say that we need to do more. We have deviated so much from the very ideals of democracy. We have deviated so much, and How it will happen, I don't know. Because majority of those who are there, and even those who are aspiring to be there, like the issues of coalition. Look at the people involved with the coalition. These are persons who have been fighting people. In fact, the same, I was just trying to answer a question that Amechi is in the coalition. El-Rufai, they are all in the coalition. They should explain to Nigerians.
All right, thank you so much, Professor
Jonathan,
Benjamin Okaba, President Ijaw National Congress. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing, your insights with us. Thank you.
Thank you. You don't want me to go for that, right? Thank you for that share. It's okay.
Yeah, all right. We will continue with our conversations right after this timeout.